morning, students. Today I wanted to explain you about the classification of the kingdom Animalia. We know that the Animalia is nothing but it's a kingdom which contains all the animals which are there on the earth. All the animals are classified into Animalia kingdom, and this Animalia kingdom is divided into two subkingdoms. Two subkingdoms. One of them is Protozoa. Protozoa. These are divided into two subkingdoms. Subkingdoms, and one of them is Protozoa. The protozoa is nothing but these are animals which have unicellular in nature. Of course, they are unicellular animals, and also they are eukaryotic animals. We know about this eukaryotic in nature. We know about the difference between the prokaryotic animals and eukaryotic animals. The prokaryotic animals are nothing but those animals which doesn't have nucleolemma or a nuclear membrane around its nucleus of its cell. Those are called as prokaryotic animals. If any animal contain a specific nucleolemma or nuclear membrane around its nucleus in the cell, then they are called as eukaryotic animals. If we see the protozoans, these have a specific nucleus and a specific nucleolemma around its nucleus, so that all the protozoans, even though they are unicellular, they all are eukaryotic in nature. And if we see the examples for this prokaryotic animals, the best example for this protozoa is amoeba and euglena and paramecium. Paramecium. All these are unicellular and eukaryotic animals. These are belongs to a subkingdom that is called as a protozoa. Then the second one, if you see the second subkingdom, that is metazoa. Metazoa are nothing but these are multicellular organisms. Multicellular eukaryotic organisms. All the multicellular eukaryotic organisms are belongs to the metazoa subkingdom. And this metazoa is again classified into three branches. Three branches. In these, the first branch is mesozoa. Mesozoa. And second one is parazoa. Parazoa. And third one is eumetazoa. Eumetazoa. Like that, the metazoa is classified into three branches. Those three branches are mesozoa, parazoa, eumetazoa. If you see the mesozoa are the intermediate animals between protozoa and metazoa. The mesozoan animals are the intermediate between the protozoan animals and metazoan animals. These have two characters of the both protozoa and metazoa, so that these are treated as intermediate animals between the protozoa and metazoa. Generally, they are worm-like animals, and for example, in this mesozoa, Daisema is the best example for this mesozoa. Daisema. And the second one is Rophalura. These are the mesozoan animals which contain both protozoan characters and also the metazoan characters, so that the mesozoa are treated as the intermediate animals between the protozoa and metazoa. And again, if you see the parazoa, the branch parazoa, The parazoa are multicellular organisms, of course. They are also multicellular organisms, but without the formation of well-defined tissue. They have the multicellular organism structure, but they doesn't have a definite tissues. They doesn't have the tissues, means they doesn't have the coordination between the two cells, so that it is, of course it is a multicellular organism, but it doesn't have any definite tissue. And the only phylum which have the parazoa is porifera. Porifera. The poriferan animals are belongs to the parazoa branch. And example for porifera is sponges. Sponges are the best example for this parazoa. And if you see the next one, eumetazoa. The eumetazoa are the multicellular animals with well-defined tissues. If you see that the parazoa doesn't have any tissues, but the eumetazoans have well-defined tissues. They have organs, organ systems, and they have a grade of organization. A specific organization is there, and they are the well-developed branch of Animalia. And in this, the coelenterata to chordata, all are belongs to the eumetazoa. For example, if we see that the coelenterata, Platyhelminthes, Nematohelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Chordata, all are belongs to eumetazoa branch. That's about the eumetazoa. Then, if we see the eumetazoa classification, the eumetazoans are again classified into two types. These are classified into two grades. These are called as grades. And these two grades are, the first one is radiata, the radiata, and second one is bilateria, bilateria. Okay, if you see the radiata, it have a specific structure, and it have a specific symmetry. In fact, they are radially symmetrical animals. If those animals which have the radial symmetry are classified into radiata grade. If those animals which have bilateral symmetry, then they are called as bilateria. Like that, these two are classified according to the symmetry. And if you see the radiata, in this radiata, one phylum is there. That phylum is coelenterata. The coelenterata phylum is belongs to radiata. Coelenterata. The coelenterates are belongs to the radiata grade. And if you see the bilateria are nothing but they have a special symmetry. That symmetry is bilateral symmetry. And this bilateral symmetry animals, means the bilateria animals, are again divided into two divisions. Two divisions. Those two divisions are, the first division is protostomia. Protostomia. And the second division is deuterostomia. Deuterostomia. Okay. If you see that there are difference between the protostomia and deuterostomia, in fact, we know that while the development process is going on, the embryo is developed into morula. The morula will becomes into blastula, and blastula will becomes into gastrula. And if the gastrula generally contains an opening, that is called as archenteron. And in the process of the development, after the development, if the archenteron pore is developed into mouth, then those animals are called as protostomia animals. If that archenteron is transformed into anus of the animals, then they are called as deuterostomia animals. That is the difference between the protostomia and deuterostomia. Just I wanted to explain you this one. This topic is again I wanted to explain this one. That is generally the gastrula in the development process. The gastrula is there. We know that the gastrula contains an opening. That opening is called as archenteron. After the development process, if that archenteron is became into the mouth of that animal, then those animals are called as protostomian animals. If that archenteron pore is developed into anus of that animal, then they are called as deuterostomia. Okay, that's about the clarity between, and what is the that is the difference between the protostomia and deuterostomia. Again, the protostomia again divided into three subdivisions. The protostomia is again divided into three subdivisions. Three subdivisions. These three subdivisions, first one is acoelomata, and second one is pseudocoelomata. The third one is schizocoelomata. Like this, the protostomia is again divided into three subdivisions. Those are acoelomata, pseudocoelomata, schizocoelomata. Acoelomata means they doesn't have any coelom in its body. A coelom means no coelom. They doesn't have any coelom in its body. Because of that, they are called as acoelomatan animals. Example for this acoelomata is platyhelminthes. All the platyhelminthes animals belongs to acoelomata subdivision. Then if we see the pseudocoelomata means they doesn't have a true coelom. So that it is called as a pseudocoelom. In fact, you know that the true coelom means that coelom is encircled with the mesoderm. If the mesoderm is present around its coelom, it is called as a eucoelom. But in these animals, that mesoderm will not be there. Because of that, that coelom is called as a pseudocoelom. If that animals contains pseudocoelom, then they are called as pseudocoelomata subdivision. In this, one phylum is there. That phylum is Nematihelminthes. The Nematihelminthes phylum is there in the pseudocoelomata. Then the next one is Schizocoelomata. The Schizocoelomata is nothing but it contains three phylums. Those three phylums are Annelida, Arthropoda, and Mollusca. The Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, these three have a specific coelom, of course, but a different schizocoelom. So that they are called as Schizocoelomata, and these Schizocoelomata have three phylums. Those are Annelida, Arthropoda, and Mollusca. That's about the protostomia. Now, if we see the deuterostomia, the deuterostomia contains only one subdivision. Only one is there. That is called as enterocoelomata. In this enterocoelomata, echinoderms are there. Echinodermata, hemichordata, and chordata. All these belongs to the enterocoelomata. Okay, that's about the classification of Animalia. Just I wanted to explain you again briefly. That is the Animalia. The kingdom Animalia is classified into two subkingdoms. That is the protozoa and metazoa. The metazoa is again classified into three branches. Those are the mesozoa, parazoa, eumetazoa. The mesozoa have an example that is called as a Dicyema and Rhophilura. And parazoa contains only one phylum, that is Porifera. Example for Porifera is sponges. And then if you see the eumetazoa is classified into two grades. Those are, the first one is Radiata, second one is Bilateria. The Radiata means the animals which have the radial symmetry are called as Radiata. In this, the phylum Coelenterata is there in this Radiata. If we see the Bilateria have two divisions. Those are the protostomia and deuterostomia. If the archenteron is transformed into the mouth of an organism, then those are called as protostomian animals. If that archenteron is transformed into anus, then they are called as Deuterostomia animals. And the Protostomia is again divided into three subdivisions. Those are Acoelomata, Pseudocoelomata, Schizocylomata. Acoelomata means they doesn't have any coelom, and example for this Acoelomata is platyhelminths. And Pseudocoelomata means it have the coelom, but it doesn't have the true coelom. The phylum which is there in this Pseudocoelomata is Nemathelminths. And Schizocylomata. The Schizocylomata have Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca phylums in this Schizocylomata. And if you see the the Deuterostomia have only one subdivision, that is Enterocoelomata. And in this Enterocoelomata, there are three phylums are there. Those three are the Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata. That's about the classification of Animalia kingdom. And if you have any doubts, then please raise the doubts through the comments on this video. And if you have any problems or technical problems or subject problems, please mention me with your comments. Thank you very much. God bless you.